hey, we are going to try this again, round 2. It's incredible how technology works until it doesn't. And my phone rang, even though my phone is on Do Not Disturb. People ring on WhatsApp and it just knocks the whole thing off. So we're going to go again. Okay, so the number one thing that guarantees your success in your coach's business, and yes, I said guarantees, is your commitment. And I know that a lot of people will say, but I am committed and I'm still not seeing the results. I am committed and nothing is happening. I've been trying for so long and nothing is happening. It feels like there's too much going on and it's just not meant to be. And we're going to have some harsh reality now today. Commitment means that there is no conditions. Commitment means that you don't allow your limited thinking to be able to take you over. Commitment means that you're going to create it no matter what. And like, if you think about it, we've been taught growing up that when you're going after something big, something that maybe you don't know anyone that's gone after it before, that you've in the back of your mind you have, well, that's greedy, that's selfish. What are you going to sacrifice so that you can have this? Who are you going to step on in order to get there? And that kind of runs the back of your mind a little bit. So we waver on commitment. Commitment is the biggest problem that we have in life. People have in life is commitment. We always have to ask ourselves, what are we actually committed to? It's even like if you're in a relationship. This was actually a really hard pill for me to swallow in terms of accepting that there's other ways to be able to look at something, and that I have full responsibility and ability over what my life looks like and the choices that I can make in life, because what am I actually committed to? So if I look at my past relationship, and there's a reason I'm sharing this with you, if I look at my past relationship, which was quite toxic, it wasn't a healthy relationship at all. If I asked myself, what was I committed to? In that relationship, I was committed to seeing it through. I was committed to not failing. I was committed to having the relationship that I wanted on the outside, never mind what it felt like on the inside. So I was sacrificing. So instead of coming out of that relationship and being committed to finding the love that I wanted and not deviating on my morals, I stuck with that. And we do that quite a lot. And it's the same with our business too. So when you look at your business, and you want to make sure that you have clarity on what it is that you're creating. So in the first part of this live, before we got cut off, we were talking about that it's necessary to be clear on what it is that you're creating. So what are you creating in the next 12 months? This year, because we're in February now, it's 11 months. What are you committed to creating in the next 3 years? And what are you committed to creating in the next 5 years? And you don't do it based off on what you think you can do. You based off it on what you actually want. Now, I'm not talking about that if you're a new business owner and you're a new coach and you haven't been in business before and you haven't had any investments into what it looks like to run a coaching business, declaring out, that you're going to have 100 people on a group program is probably unlikely to happen. That's not to say that it can't happen, but that's probably unlikely. So you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and understand the pathway that you're going to have to go through. This is not setting limitations. This is being very aware of the pathway in which you're going to go through and the breakthroughs that you need to have along the way in order to be able to create what you want. So within the next 12 months, what will be, what do you think you can do? Then what's your next level? Like, what's the next cut for you? What do you want to do? So if I look at some of my clients this year, what they've declared out is, and this is a variation, some of them have declared 15 clients for the year, which is great. It's totally doable. Another person has declared out 5, which is great. That's also totally doable. And the person that's declared out 5 is brand new, and is terrified. They're terrified. They're absolutely terrified because they know the pathway that's in front of them, and they're committed, but they're aware that their fears right now are taking them over, but they're working through them. And that's what commitment looks like. So know what it is that you want to create in the next 12 months, the next 3 years, and the next 5 years, and do it based on what you think you can do, and then based on what you want to do, and declare it out. Now, when you look at that and you look at how committed you are to doing it, it's either committed or it's not. There's nothing, well, I'm kind of committed if this happens, or when I get money, then I'm going to take all these steps. No, that's not commitment. That's conditional. That is absolutely conditional. So when you look at what it is that you're creating, that you've declared out, What is your commitment to it? Are you an all in, or are you wavering? Because most people waver. They're not committed. They waver. And they want things to look a certain way, feel a certain way, be a certain way before they will do it. That is where failure happens. That is where slowness happens, sluggishness happens, and you don't create the results that you want. So if you're on the wavering, and I'll give you practical examples of what the waver looks like. So somebody that goes to a huge amount of is like a freebie seeker. So they'll go to masterclasses, challenges, they'll download every freebie, but they won't actually think about how they could create the money to invest to propel them forward. That would be one way that the commitment is wavering. Another one would be that everything else is a priority bar the business. So the children are a priority, the dog is a priority, the health is a priority, but your business isn't a priority. That's wavering commitment. Another one would be if you decide that you are not good at social media, if you decide that you're not good at technology and you run that story. That's the reason why you're not succeeding. That's what you're telling yourself. That's wavering on commitment. It's literally wavering on commitment. Being committed means that you are very clear on what you're creating. No ifs, ands or buts. It's not about how you feel about it. It's not about what beliefs might come up for you about it. This is happening no matter what. And you're very clear on who you need support from in order to make it happen, and what you need support with in order to make it happen. I've had multiple conversations in the last 6 months in particular about people that they're still sitting in an either or. They're all coaches and they're still sitting in an either or. So and I hear this story so often. I had 4 of them in the past couple of weeks. It was incredible to see that this is the theme and the thread that's coming out. If we look at the last couple of years, what a lot of people invested in was how to get 10k months, how to reach 6 figures, how to reach 7 figures. However, based on where they were at, which was brand new to business, they had no idea of the strategy to get there, because what was being taught wasn't strategy. What was being taught was your mindset, your habits, your beliefs, your ways of being to get you there, which are crucial. They are absolutely important. They're not something that you can shy away from. They're not something you can deviate from, but they're not the sole contributor to your success. You also need to know what strategy goes with it so that you can have the success that you want. But what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing people doing is, well, I invested in that and it didn't work. And my answer to that is, but of course it didn't, because you don't know how to apply it. What are you applying it to? And I had the same situation, because my very first investment was on mindset. But it's because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had zero idea. And what happened as I was going through that program, which was an incredible program, and I've met some incredible people, this going back to 2020, I started getting frustrated because things weren't moving in my business. But that program was never going to give me what I needed to make my business happen. That's not what it was designed for at all. It wasn't designed for that at all. So how could I possibly get what I needed from that? You need to marry things together, right? So what was my commitment? My commitment was to making my business successful. So I had to look around and go, okay, well, who do I need support from and able to get there? I have my mindset person. So then I started looking at business coaches. And I'm sharing this with you for a reason, because if you don't get out of your own way, and if you don't start making decisions based on where you want to get to, you're going to stay where you are. And it's frustrating staying in that position. I know, I've been there. It's really frustrating. And, your comparisonitis starts kicking in, and you really start to get caught up in, well, why is that happening for other people? And it's not happening for me. And it's down to your commitment and your decision making. And for as long as you want to fight that, your position will stay the same. So ask yourself, well, if you allow yourself to get really curious, why are you committed to that being right for you? Why are you committed to that being the only way to do things? Why are you committed to not going beyond that piece? Why is that your commitment? And ask yourself those questions. And they're not fun questions to ask, I know, because I've asked them of myself. And if you don't ask yourself those questions, and if you don't allow yourself to receive the answers and be open to the answers, you will stay exactly where you are. But if you don't marry the two together, how are you going to create the success? You're not. Because you can't know what you don't know. So commitment is the number one thing that will guarantee your success when you look at what it is that you're committed to. So I gave you an example of where in my relationship that was super toxic, and it's hilarious because I didn't even realize it was toxic till I was out of it. I was so shut off from what the reality that I created for myself. I had no idea. But yet when I look now, I'm like, well, what was I committed to? I was committed to aesthetically having what I thought was a good relationship and trying to force it to be exactly what I wanted it to be, even though it was bleeding at the seams. My mind was going absolutely crazy and it was impacting my relationship with Leah. So what was I really committed to? I was committed to looking good on the outside, but inside I was feeling crap. So look at your business. Where does that apply in your business? So again, the example that I gave you at the start as well was when I first set up my business, which was in May 2020, I had no clients. I had no idea what I was doing. I had gone through a coaching certification where they were teaching us business. Did I apply any of it? No. Why didn't I apply any of it? Because in my mind, what they were teaching was, that's too slow, I want to go bigger. So I tried lots of different things. Obviously that didn't work. I then had a VIP day with another coach, and she was basically reinforcing what I had been taught. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I didn't say that out loud to her. I said it in my mind. I was like, I'm not doing that. Because I'm like, no, I want to go bigger than this. This is too small. Then I met my next coach. She had the big vision, which was super exciting for me. And it scared the life out of me because I was like, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. I've paid for all these other coaches and I haven't done anything. It's not their problem that I haven't done it because I've chosen not to do what they've told me to do. But what I realized was I was searching. I was constantly searching. I wasn't actually committed to creating my vision. I wasn't committed to making it happen. I was committed to looking for what felt comfortable for me. I was committed to only doing the things that didn't make me feel uncomfortable. That's what I was committed to. So how is that ever going to generate success? And I see this with new coaches time and time again, because I hear it when I'm on sales calls with them or when I connect with them in the DMs. It's the same thing. It's like, well, I'm trying all these things, but nothing is working. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like hearing my own voice again. It's like, you know, I've been on Facebook, I've been on Instagram, you know, I've been on TikTok, I've been on YouTube, and nothing is working. Nothing is working. I put out my offers and nobody is buying them. It's amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing to see this happening time and time again. But it comes back to the same thing. What are you committed to? Are you committed to looking for what feels comfortable for you, or are you actually committed to creating the results that you want? Commitment is always what's in the gap between what you have now and what you want. And until you accept that, so I always say awareness, acceptance, and action. Until you accept that, nothing changes. Nothing changes. So think about it, right? If there's a way that you know that's going to propel your business forward, right? And it could be that you invest in a VA, it could be that you invest in a business coach, it could be that you invest in technology, it could be that you upgrade your marketing system, it could be anything, right? But when you think about investing in that, and because it will propel you forward, like it's going to give you the results that you want, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? For most people, it will be like, oh, well, I'll do that in a couple of months' time. I just want to do all this first. Or I don't have the money right now. I'll make the money and then I'll do it. Which is backwards thinking. It is backwards thinking. Because you're trying to create what you don't already have. But you don't know how to create what you don't already have. So you're just staying on a hamster wheel, a constant spiral. So different ways to look at it is, like I said, who do I need support from and what do I need support with in order to get it done? Like, it is no coincidence that I have been able to manage to find money every single solitary time. Not in my own bank account. Let me be super clear about that. And not in my own bank account. But when I made that first investment, I literally gave the coach the $1,200 that was in my bank account. Actually, I think it was $1,400. Not knowing where the other $5,000 was going to come from. Hadn't got a bloody clue. But I trusted that it would come. I trusted that I would make it happen. And I did. Not through work. It came through another source. It was the same way with my coaching certification. Like, do you look at the opportunities that are around you? Are you resourceful in being able to make things happen? So for me, when COVID hit, we had a situation here where in Ireland where the taxes, so we're on a cumulative basis in terms of our tax, but obviously nobody knew how long COVID was going to be around for, which means the tax is calculated on a yearly basis. So I had paid obviously the taxes for the first 3 months, but we the majority of the country ended up getting a tax refund because nobody knew how long COVID was going to go on for, right? And then all of that was changed and was rectified, and people were able to repay back their taxes. But what I did was, instead of getting into fear of going, oh my God, they're going to want that money back now, I went, no, that money can actually support me and propel me forward. So the tax that came back, I used it and trusted that I would be able to repay it back, which I did. Because we all did, right? We were all able to do that. But it's been going, what are you using with your mind? Like, what way are you looking at things? Are you looking at only the scarcity that you have, or are you being resourceful with what's around you? When it came to investing in the coach that I was with for one day, again, at this point you have to remember, I didn't have any clients and my hours in work were only 15. So the money, I'd paused my mortgage because I couldn't pay for it. So I didn't have money lying around. I couldn't get a loan. So hear what I'm saying to you. You can choose how you look at these things. And what you do with it then is totally up to you. So for the next coach, it was the exact same thing. It was the same thing. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for her because I didn't have the money. But what did I do? I got resourceful. And I could see that there was a way for me to make money through affiliate marketing. So I did that so that I could pay for her. Enter my next coach, which was in October 2020. And this lady was expensive in terms of my mindset at the time. She was $1,200 a month. But I knew, I was like, this is it. And I knew with that level of investment, there was not a hope in hell I was going to fail. Like, just wasn't happening. But again, I had no idea how I was going to make the money. So there was an opportunity to put in a deposit. And then, you'd go on a payment plan after that. So I was like, right, we're doing that. That means I've got 4 weeks, right, to be able to make this happen. And I did. That was when the 10K month started coming in. Why? Because I was fully committed to making it happen. I let go of all of my conditions. I let go and worked through my beliefs that I had. I had massive fears, don't get me wrong, massive fears around this. Like, I remember sitting with a friend of mine, I had her on FaceTime while I was sending out emails to people because I was so terrified. And I knew that I would probably get up and watch Netflix. I would probably, hoover the house. I would probably bring the dog for a walk. I would want to meal prep for the next month, anything to avoid doing this one thing. But I asked myself, who do I need support from and what do I need support with? I needed support sending out these emails. So I had this person sit with me on FaceTime. Didn't need her to say anything, but it was just to be there for support so that I would get it done. Excuses will break you. They will absolutely break you. Your commitment will propel you. So you get to ask yourself, what is your commitment level? Is your commitment conditional? And if it is, that's up to you to do something about that. You can absolutely change that. Or is your commitment solid, like solid, that it doesn't deviate, it doesn't waver, and that you get resourceful so that you can have what you want? Commitment is what guarantees your success. Because I've just given you there so many examples of where I was given the strategy and I didn't apply it. Yet the strategy that they taught me is literally what I implement now. Do you hear what I'm saying? Strategy wasn't the problem. I was the problem. My commitment was the problem. My commitment to only doing what I was comfortable was the problem. My commitment to my excuses was the problem. In order to get what you want, you've got to get uncomfortable, because you're growing, you're evolving, you're expanding. And when you're doing that, it's like, think of an elastic band. You can see it being stretched, right? And you're terrified it's going to break, but it never does. You're the same. So ask yourself, what is my commitment level? Is my commitment conditional, or is my commitment? I'll leave it there with you. Have a great day.